supporters of Yu Menglong are now taking to the streets. The parent company of his agency has lost over $1 billion in market value. She has launched a global rare earth blitz. General Zhang Yuxia remains on full alert. And as the fourth plenary session approaches, the struggle inside Zhongnanhai has reached a boiling point. Welcome back to Final War with Catherine Hu. The global movement seeking justice for Yu Menglong continues to grow. And finally, there's hope. Across mainland China, people are taking their calls for justice from online platforms to the streets. Many of those involved in his tragedy are now facing the consequences. Meanwhile, the parent company of Yu Menglong's agency, Tianyu Media, has lost over $1 billion in market value. But the real figure behind the case, rumored to have been hospitalized after another stroke last week, had already set a plan in motion. A rare earth war targeting the United States. It sent US-China relations spiraling downward. Then, almost magically, tensions vanished just as fast. What really happened behind this strange turn? We'll break it down in the second half of today's episode. For now, let's look at how the fight for justice is spreading across China, from whispers online to a roar in the streets. The power of justice is no longer confined to social media. Across China, Yu Menglong supporters have begun marching in public, demanding accountability from Tianyu Media, the company accused of silencing the truth. Crowds chanted with emotion, "Tianyu Media is finished! Tianyu Media is finished!" And the backlash hit fast. The company's stock price plunged. According to Sina Finance, Mango Excellent Media, Tianyu's parent firm, saw its shares fall 6.68% on October 9th and another 5.12% on October 10th. A two-day drop of over 11%, wiping out roughly 7.7 billion yuan, $1.07 billion in market value. By the end of September, shareholder numbers had dropped nearly 29%, signaling collapsing confidence. Investors called it self-inflicted and instant karma. Within days, top executives began resigning. Vice President Luo quit suddenly on October 9th, citing work reassignment. Another deputy, Chen, who also served as Tianyu's general manager, had stepped down in August for personal reasons. On October 8th, shoppers at Wuyue Plaza in Jiangsu province stopped in silence. Above the main entrance, a massive LED screen began looping a simple but haunting message. A series of close-up images of Yu Menglong, overlaid with the words, "I am Yu Menglong." There was no sound, just the image, muted, solemn, deliberate. To many onlookers, the silence wasn't accidental. It was a quiet act of defiance, a way of mocking the regime's censorship, a symbol of how the authorities had tried to erase Yu's name from the internet, yet failed. Meanwhile, on the global petition site Avaz, a campaign titled Justice for Yu Menglong has now drawn over 360,000 signatures worldwide. For millions watching, the case has evolved from a celebrity tragedy into a moral reckoning, a test of whether truth can still survive under digital repression. Despite the authorities' silence, the people are speaking loud enough for the world to hear. A wave of boycotts has erupted online, targeting those allegedly involved in Yu's tragedy. Actor Fan Shiqi, who once shared the same agency with Yu, was scheduled to hold a concert in Chengdu City on October 18th. But reports surfaced that only 15 tickets had been sold. Within hours, his studio posted a statement claiming the concert was cancelled due to health reasons and medical advice. No one believed it. Fan had earlier called all allegations slander. Then came the leaks. Videos allegedly recorded near the scene. In one, a desperate voice, believed to be Yu's, cried out Fan's nickname, "Fan Xiaohua, help me!" In another, a voice was heard urging the attackers to subdue Yu Menglong. Digital analysts compared the voice print and found a 99.57% match with Fan's voice. Soon after, something even more shocking appeared. A post briefly appeared on Fan's account in which he appeared to confess, writing that claiming responsibility for Yu Menglong's death and that Yu deserved the tragedy. The post was deleted minutes later, but screenshots spread rapidly online. It was the first open admission in the entire case, a stunning reversal that left the internet reeling. Whether it was a nervous breakdown, a hack, or a burst of guilt, the words exposed what Beijing most feared: truth breaking through silence. The crackdown on those linked to Yu Menglong's case continued to widen. Another actress, Song Yi-ren, known for her pure public image, saw her new drama, The Moment I Met You, taken offline within 48 hours of release. The reason? A full-scale online boycott that left streaming platforms no choice but to pull it down. Jiao Maiqi, another entertainer under scrutiny, had her planned concert postponed. Meanwhile, actor Gao Taiyu was confronted live during a broadcast on a major Chinese platform. Viewers flooded his chat with one name, Yu Menglong. Comments demanding his removal filled the screen. Two more figures, Fang Li and Tian Hairong, saw their films boycotted and sponsors withdraw overnight. But the wave of public anger didn't stop with the visible faces. It was turning toward the real source behind it all, the man at the top, party leader Xi. In our previous episodes, we traced the dark logic chain connecting Yu Menglong's abuse and tragedy to a sacrifice reportedly linked to extending the leader's life. And multiple independent reports say that the same leader suffered a stroke last week and was hospitalized. Yet within days, he suddenly ordered a rare earth blitz against the United States, a move so reckless, it stunned even his closest allies. On October 9th, Beijing issued a surprise announcement. Ministry of Commerce Notice Number 61, expanding rare earth export restrictions to include foreign organizations and individuals. A few hours later came Notice Number 62, further tightening control over mining, refining, magnetic materials, and recycling technologies. This wasn't regulation. It was a declaration of economic warfare. Rare earths, the critical materials used in chips, electric vehicles, and missile systems, are the lifeblood of modern industry. By weaponizing them, Beijing sought to hold the world hostage. China currently controls roughly 70% of global rare earth production and 90% of refining capacity. The move was deliberate, sudden, and absolute, clearly months in the making. Washington was caught off guard. And as the markets reacted, Donald Trump responded in kind. He took to Truth Social declaring a 100% tariff hike on Chinese goods, resetting the trade war to its starting point. In less than 24 hours, the rare earth showdown had begun. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the rare earth war collapsed. Within 48 hours, what had been presented as a global showdown ended quietly. The United States held its line, markets steadied, and the emergency vanished. Why did a crisis that started like a thunderclap disappear so fast? The answer lies not in Washington, but inside Beijing's political circle. Because this wasn't a trade war. It was an internal eruption, a detonation planted by one man inside the system, meant not to fight the West, but to destabilize his rivals at home. To understand the chaos, we need to trace the two competing lines within Beijing. In the weeks before the rare earth escalation, the government had signaled conciliation toward Washington. TikTok was sold to a US buyer at a deep discount, with major concessions on its algorithm. Premier Li Qiang announced China would relinquish its developing nation status at the WTO, an extraordinary gesture. Behind closed doors, Li Qiang also met with senior US figures, echoing Wang Yang's famous metaphor of China and America as a couple, a vision of coexistence, not confrontation. That was one line, the red face, diplomacy first. But Xi's rare earth offensive revealed the opposite line, the black face, confrontation first. Two factions now stood in open contradiction. One sought compromise to buy time and relieve economic pressure. The other sought chaos as survival. According to multiple insiders, the rare earth strike was not a collective decision, but a solo operation ordered directly by the party leader Xi, bypassing both the State Council and the Politburo. It was a preset landmine, triggered the moment he felt cornered. His goal? Not to defeat America, but to wreck the table. By manufacturing an external crisis, he could force the party to depend on his loyal machinery, the ministries, the propaganda system, and especially his network in the military. As long as Beijing faced an external threat, his faction would remain indispensable. For him, chaos means leverage. Even without full authority, his allies still control crucial departments. And in a climate where no one knows who truly holds power, even a fallen ruler can find room to strike back. But Beijing's elder faction was not about to let chaos spiral unchecked. On October 12th and 14th, the Ministry of Commerce held consecutive press conferences. The spokesperson's words sounded technical, but their message was unmistakable. First, export controls, they said, did not mean export bans. Licenses would still be issued, and new exemptions were being considered to facilitate lawful trade. Translation: Don't panic. Business will continue as usual. Second, on the tariffs, the ministry struck a sharply softer tone. China does not wish for a trade war, but we are not afraid of one. We urge both sides to maintain dialogue and cooperation. The contrast was startling. Within days, Beijing had gone from threatening to turn over the table to reassuring the world that everything was fine. It was a 180-degree reversal, and Washington noticed. Soon after, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social,
"Don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it."
In this single post, Trump delivered two messages. One, the rare earth escalation was the personal decision of Beijing's top leader. Two, America wants to stabilize China, but not to protect that leader himself. Chinese journalist Xiao Wen later reported that the rare earth policy had bypassed both the State Council and the Politburo Standing Committee. It was a personal directive from the top. Premier Li Qiang and other senior officials were notified only after it was enacted. This was not institutional policy. It was one man's emotional reaction, a sign of fear, frustration, and loss of control. He wasn't fighting a trade war. He was fighting his own isolation. Washington quickly picked up on the shift. In an interview, U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent revealed that his team had worked intensively with Beijing over the weekend to cool tensions. He confirmed two crucial details. One, extensive communication had taken place throughout the weekend. Two, he himself had been directly involved in the talks. That single admission changed everything. If the conversation was happening through the Treasury, not through the Ministry of Commerce, it meant control of US-China dialogue had already returned to the elder faction. The rare earth blitz, once seen as national policy, was now being treated as an unauthorized act by the top leader's inner circle. Negotiations were back in the hands of Li Chenggang in Beijing and Bessent in Washington, a sign that the elder faction had quietly reclaimed control of the steering wheel. As a result, Beijing's public tone flipped overnight, from militant to moderate, from threats to streamlined procedures. But once the elders reasserted control, the chaos subsided, communication resumed, markets stabilized, and the political storm, at least on the surface, was contained. Even with the elder faction back in control, General Zhang Yuxia refused to relax. In the tense days leading up to the fourth plenary session, he has stopped returning home altogether. By day, he works inside the military command center in Beijing, and by night, he reportedly sleeps inside the Western Hills wartime command bunker. In other words, he is living in a wartime posture. Zhang Yuxia is a soldier waiting for the moment the storm breaks. He knows the danger better than anyone. He cannot rely fully on either faction, not on the elders, who might choose compromise to preserve unity, and certainly not on the top leader, whose desperation makes him unpredictable. The rare earth confrontation proved how volatile things have become. If a single emotional order could launch a global trade escalation, a single night could also ignite something far worse, a regional military conflict in the Taiwan Strait, or an incident in the Western Pacific. For Zhang, this isn't paranoia. It's preparation. He is standing guard at the edge of an invisible war, a war that, for now, is being fought not with weapons, but with directives, leaks, and fear. The so-called rare earth showdown was never about economics. It was a political performance, an act of desperation staged by a ruler losing control. For the elder faction, the fourth plenary session will be their final move, the chance to end the crisis before it consumes the party itself. And that one phrase, "He just had a bad moment," may well mark a global turning point in how the world views Beijing's leadership. Because when a nation enters an era of emotion-driven rule, what the world perceives as policy confusion isn't confusion at all. It is the most visible sign that a political system has begun to break down from within. Get the real story behind the CCP's shifting power games and see where US-China relations are headed next.